Because I believe that Ted Cruz picked up a major endorsement, and you see her right there. It is Fiorina. Let's just watch for a moment to see what happens next.
Well, thank you so much for that warm Miami-Dade welcome. It is indeed a great privilege and pleasure to stand on the stage today. Thank you. You know, I ran for the presidency because I think it's time to take our country back. Because I think we need real reform. Because we have too much economic and too much political power concentrated in the hands of too few people. And I ran because we need a real constitutional conservative serving in the White House. Now, I have to tell you, last Tuesday, my husband Frank and I live in Virginia, where we met and married over 30 years ago. We live near our daughter, son-in-law, and 2 granddaughters. And last Tuesday, we had a primary. And I walked into the ballot box, and I looked at the ballot, and I saw my own name on the ballot. It was kind of a thrill. But then I checked the box for Ted Cruz, and I'm here to tell you why. You know, after we lost the 2012 election, the Republican establishment decided that it knew exactly what we had to do to win the next one. The Republican establishment decided we needed to pass comprehensive immigration reform. They decided that, you know, we needed not to rock the boat too much. Let's just go along to get along with a government that's more and more incompetent and corrupt. And for heaven's sakes, they told us, don't talk about the social issues. But you know, there's one thing the Republican establishment didn't count on. In the state of Texas, against all odds and against all the predictions of the pundits, the state of Texas elected a senator named Ted Cruz. And you know, Ted Cruz has always a constitutional conservative. He is a fearless fighter and reformer, and he didn't much care whether he got invited to the cocktail parties in D.C. We know Ted Cruz is a fearless constitutional conservative because he has fought for our liberties over and over again. You know, my dad was a constitutional conservative, an appellate judge on the very liberal Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and so I know, having watched my dad, what it takes to fight against a tide. And Ted Cruz has stood up and fought for our right to bear arms. He has fought for our religious liberty. He has fought for our sovereignty. And he has won over and over and over. He has won. We know Ted Cruz is a leader and a reformer. He's willing to take on the status quo in Washington, D.C., whether it's replacing the IRS or finally fixing the Veterans Administration so our veterans get the care that they deserve. Or finally fixing our immigration problems. You know, I can tell you from personal experience, in order to lead, you must challenge the status quo. And when you challenge the status quo, guess what? You do more than ruffle feathers. You make enemies. It is part of it. It is the price of leadership. You know, people say all the time, we are all known by the company we keep. I'll tell you what. Ted Cruz should be known, is proud to be known by the enemies he has made in the D.C. cartel. some people in our party now who are saying, well, you know, Donald Trump wouldn't be so bad. I mean, okay, maybe he's a liberal, maybe he's a fraud, but you know, at least he's a deal maker. We can make deals with him. Here's the thing. The truth is that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are two sides of the same coin. They're not going to reform the system. They are the system. Hillary Clinton has made millions of dollars selling access and influence from the inside, and Donald Trump has made billions of dollars buying people like Hillary Clinton. They are the system. They will not reform it. And so when the establishment says Ted Cruz is too conservative, he's too much of a fighter, he won't get along, I say, you go, Ted. People in our party who actually are kind of terrified by Donald Trump. I'm one of them. But here's the thing. We're not going to beat Donald Trump by having leaders in our party tisk over our voters. We're going to have to beat Donald Trump at the ballot box. And the only guy who can beat Donald Trump is Ted Cruz. You know, Tip O'Neill once said all politics are local. Actually, all politics are personal. People vote based on their own lives, their own despairs, their own disappointments, their own hopes, and their own dreams. And so we need a real conservative who will provide real conservative solutions in people's lives. That is the only way we beat Donald Trump, and that is the only way we are going to beat Hillary Clinton. And Ted is the man to do it. Let me just close by saying this. There are big differences between progressives and conservatives. And we need to remember those differences as you head to the ballot box on Tuesday. You know, we, as conservatives, we know that no one of us is any better than any other one of us. We know that each of us is gifted by God. We know that all of us want to live lives of dignity and purpose and meaning, and we know that our values, our principles, our policies work better to lift people up regardless of their circumstances. It is progressives who believe that some are smarter than others. Some are better than others. So it's okay if some decide for others and choose for others. That is not who we are. So my fellow conservatives, my fellow Republicans, you have a very important job on Tuesday. And I say to you, it is time. It is time to take our party back. It is time to take our government back. It is time to take our country back, and so it is time now to unite behind the one man who can beat Donald Trump, who can beat Hillary Clinton, who can beat the D.C. cartel. It is time to unite behind Ted Cruz, ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States.